I think everybody knows the story by now, but I'll tell it again. I was 12 years old, and my parents had a subscription to National Geographic magazine, which I think is that's, I'm really grateful that that's the magazine that was in my house instead of Us, or nothing wrong with Us Weekly if you're here, or nothing wrong. But I as a 12-year-old girl saw this woman on the cover holding a baby gorilla, and I don't know that I was aware of subliminally what that message was. I think what I saw as a 12-year-old girl was, I loved animals, and I saw a woman that was connecting to animals the way that I connected to animals. And this was not just a cat or a dog, this was a baby gorilla. And she was living in Africa, which I didn't even understand. I'd never been out of New Orleans, and didn't know much about the rest of the world. And then the more I read about her living on a mountain by herself and studying these animals and learning their intelligence, I just saw a very strong, independent woman who was courageous and compassionate, and I think all that stuff kind of filtered into me without me really understanding the impact. It was just me like, oh, I want to hold a baby gorilla, but those were all the things that I think happened. And as I got older, it was just something that I always wanted to do. I always wanted to come to Rwanda. I always wanted to see her work, what she had done, what she started. And I just was in awe of her, and always have been. And then the rest is history, because then I got a birthday present.
Ellen is an incredible woman. She's met the most exceptional people on earth. And so when we first got together, I asked her who her hero was, or who she most admired. And I was expecting maybe a sitting president or someone who had been on her show that influenced her, but she thought about it and she said Dian Fossey. And I had obviously heard of Dian Fossey, but I really didn't know her that well. I didn't really know her work. So I think, because of the position that Ellen is in, having met so many incredible people, to have that feeling for this person and to be so inspired by somebody at such a young age and then continue throughout her lifetime, I thought it was important for me to give her a gift that connected her past to her future, because I knew the show was going to be over at some point. And I also knew that I wanted to create a legacy for Ellen other than the legacy that she's created in entertainment. And if you knew my wife and how much she cares for animals, I mean, she would do anything for an animal, to protect an animal. So I knew that it was the right gift to give her. I just didn't know how to give it to her. And while we're here, I have to say that Casey is my sister-in-law, married to my brother, poor thing. But really, I called Casey and I said, this is kind of what I'm thinking. How on earth do we do this? And Casey is so brilliant and made this whole thing possible. So she put me in touch with Tara, and the rest is history.
This has been a 20-year dream for us to have a permanent home in Rwanda. So when Diane was here, she was obviously up in the mountains. Hopefully you saw the replica of her cabin that was destroyed in the 90s. And so for the last 20 plus years, we've been working out of rented facilities located 25 miles away, far from the gorillas, far from the communities we serve. And so this incredible opportunity, we had decided during our 50th anniversary that we really wanted to make a commitment to building a permanent home. We met Mass and started thinking about what this concept was, and it was, everything came together, because literally a month later we got a call from from Portia and Casey, and then here's where we are. But our mission has always been, we say it's about saving gorillas and helping people, because we know ultimately that for the gorillas to thrive, the people must thrive as well. And so we've always engaged with local communities, but having this facility here has just been transformational. We have had over 5,000 Rwandans come to visit us since we opened on February 1st. In our old facility, which was in town, Rwandans didn't come. We would bring school groups through, but it just wasn't maybe seen as a facility that was open to them or that they, that they had an interest in. And so the ability to have so many local community people on site to see the inspirational work that is happening in their backyard by the people of their country has been amazing for us. We've also brought over 2,000 school children to the campus, so creating a field trip opportunity. So these young children can come, they can see how important these forests are, and they can see role models that they may want to be as adults, that they are part of the generation that's going to help us save the planet. So it's just been an amazing facility. I say that Mass's motto is beauty is justice, and I really understood that when the campus opened, because this space is so beautiful, and I think it's really elevated the work that we do, because people come here and they see this place and they say, this looks important. What is happening here must be important. And we all know in this day and age that conservation is critically important. So thank you to Mass, and thank you to Ellen and Portia for giving us this amazing opportunity.
We actually often say we're architects not to build buildings, we're architects to transform systems and people's lives, and the buildings are just the process in which we do it. Architecture is not a neutral thing, it helps people or it hurts people, so it's incredibly important that we try to be intentional about every design decision having the maximum impact on the people and the places in which it serves as a service industry. So when we say beauty is justice, what we're actually trying to describe is this misunderstood concept that we have a choice between infrastructure that is well-meaning or infrastructure that is beautiful, and why can't it be both? Why can't it actually be the same thing? The fight for beauty is really a fight for justice in our world, a fight for dignity, a fight that we deserve better in our world. That we've been given infrastructure that doesn't serve us as people, doesn't serve our whole beings, doesn't commit to something greater, and it's our responsibility as architects and designers, but also people who are trying to change systems like all of you to make something that has meaning, that endures, and that is a narrative about what we believe and hope for. So that's what I think we mean by it. And you see that here. I want you to, when you look around, you might see buildings, but you should actually ask the questions of who built this place. There's 2,400 people that were employed here from this community and from this region. Every one of these stones was hand cut by masons that were trained in this community, in this region. These are stones from the lava that came down from these majestic mountains. It's from this soil, from this earth. Every one of them hand cut, think about that, was hand touched. I mean, it's incredible. We have been thinking about what this means for a global movement of architecture, and we've been inspired by the slow food movement, which 50 years ago really started to change the way we think about what we eat and where it comes from and who the farmers are and how we think about health and biodiversity. And I think we need the same thing in our built world, which is the slow space movement, where we're intentional about every decision, every material, every person that's employed, and that these places tell a story about endurance, about beauty, about social justice, and about dignity. So that's our hope here.
As hopefully many of you or all of you know, we are in the midst of the sixth mass extinction of biodiversity on our planet. And so we need, all the data are telling us, all the scientists are telling us how important conservation activities are. And so this campus really serves as a training ground, not just for Rwanda, but for the region and internationally, where we can bring career scientists together to think about what are the solutions that we may need to have for climate change. We can energize and train that next cadre of conservationists, particularly here in Africa. There is still a lot of inequity when it comes to conservation science in Africa, and that's something that we're really committed to addressing. And if you had the opportunity to go through the campus and see some of our staff that are there, almost every single one of them started as a student with us when they were at the university. They then came as interns, and now they're actually the research staff that is out doing what Dian did 50 years ago. So we're very, very excited about that opportunity, and we know that the time is now. We really don't have time to wait. And to have a facility like this here in Rwanda, for the region, for the world, we're incredibly excited about what it will bring. The other thing that we're eager to do is bring a lot of times we have to take samples back to the US to do the analysis, to bring that capacity here so that the young African scientists are doing it here, so we can analyze hormone samples to understand what's stressing out a gorilla here instead of having to carry it back to a lab in the US. And all of that will address the equity issues that Michael was referencing as well. In our last home, we had one classroom. I mean, we work with more than 400 university students every single year. As I said, we've already had 2,000 elementary school and secondary school students here. We had one classroom, we had one lab. It was a previous kitchen. You could fit about 2 people in it. So if you're thinking about training students, you have to have a trainer. So you can fit 1 student in there. Now we have 6 labs. They're absolutely gorgeous. I hope you got the opportunity to go through them. So really transforming not just the science we can do, but the training of new scientists that we can do.
You know, it's the same feeling I've had, and I don't know why I'm drawing, somebody would say, why gorillas? It's not just gorillas. I love every single animal that's on this planet, and I think they're all important, and they all do something that is necessary if we would pay attention to their intelligence. They're far superior to us. I mean, bees are far superior to us. But these gorillas are just, there was an experience yesterday that we had, it was day before yesterday actually, where there was a mother gorilla with her 1-month-old baby. And the love that you saw in her eyes, and this baby looking, and to be next to them and to see that there is no difference between us, really, and I say it all the time, the only real thing in this world is love. And that is the common theme of everything and everyone. And for some reason, as humans, we find all kinds of ways to divide into groups and say, you're different than me, you're different than me, I'm better, and gorillas, that moment of seeing that mother and that baby and that connection, and all they want to do is live their life. They just want to be in the moment, living their life. And when you get the chance, and I hope everyone does, get a chance to trek and be with gorillas, you can't be anywhere else. You are so present in that moment. You don't think, oh my God, did I leave the coffee on? There's not a stress, there's not a fear, it's a presence that you'll never experience any other way. It's like you're next to this majestic, huge, powerful, gentle being, and you feel it. You see it in their eyes, and it somehow it comes into you, and you are in that moment and nowhere else. And so that's just what my experience is. And the one yesterday, they're all different. The one yesterday was different than the one, but that moment of seeing the mother and the baby was really special to me, and it's the kind of thing that just reinforces that we are so similar, and we need to protect them, and in exchange they will protect us, because obviously the more trees we have, the better off we all are. It's our oxygen, it's our, so.
When I thought about giving this gift to Ellen, I was thinking about, of course, Ellen and Dian Fossey and Dian Fossey Fund and the gorillas. What I didn't really expect was how much I would love Rwanda and this community. The people are so unique to any other people on earth. I feel like they are so compassionate, so accepting, just beautiful, gentle souls. And so I'm just so proud of this campus, not only because we're protecting gorillas, but we're also affecting hundreds of lives that, you know, quite honestly, I didn't really think about when I thought about this gift. So, yeah, the ripple effect is pretty great, and I think that's what I'm most proud of, just to know that the community is engaged in this campus, is proud of the campus, and have learned skills that they can then take and use for the rest of their lives because of helping build the campus. And you know, over 20% of people physically working on the campus were women, and a lot of those women learned a new trade. So, you know, there are just so many amazing stories that have come out of this one place, this one idea. And I think that's what, yeah, I'm most proud of.